Donald Trump's the president-elect, and let's face it, he won the election easily, laughing in the face of millions. What does it mean for the world?
Musk has also launched the Department of Government Efficiency, which, if you take the first letter of each word there, is DOGE.
That's mental as well, right?
Well, I think he's just beaten life and now he's just having fun.
Like, he's basically mocking the world, right? Welcome to the Market Edge, where today we are asking a huge question. We are asking, is Elon Musk the most powerful person on the planet? We're also going to look at the link between energy prices and a country's GDP. Now, Donald Trump is the president.
And his presidency is already causing some big moves in the stock market. So we're going to have a look at big tech and see if there's any opportunities for traders and investors like yourself.
If you like what we're about, then of course, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like and ring the bell, and you'll find out and get notifications whenever we post a new episode. Okay, so let's start with the meme of the week. David, I'll let you describe what we've got up this week.
Yeah, so it's the meme of a talking goose that's chasing someone, and it's saying, what if markets are getting carried away with a potential future economic boom and ignoring the growth slowdown that's happening right now? And then below it, it's a picture of the investor running away, i.e. being ignorant to that kind of concept, and then the goose chasing them saying, just wait, I'm asking questions. And I think it's an interesting meme because for so long we've experienced such strong corporate profits in the US, which is basically the core driver of the S&P 500's price return. Now, what if we are seeing something slip? And sometimes, you know, something like a new presidency can cause investors to pull back, you know, or companies to pull back on spending, which then would have an effect perhaps on the share price, purely because they're maybe speculating that change could be too big from one president to the next. It doesn't mean it will be sustained, but it could mean that in the shorter term, we might see markets come off a little bit.
Well, there's a couple of reasons why this could be the case. I mean, let's look at where we are at the moment. The Dow's just closed above 44,000 for the first time earlier in this week. Stock markets are flying, cryptos are flying. We're seeing big movements in all of these markets. We've also seen last few weeks with earnings season, I think we've had 94% of earnings come out now, 76% of them beating revenue expectations and EPS, which is of course huge. And you get this shift from a presidency perspective. Stock markets are flying. There is going to be this, whether it's a short-term correction or that small dip in, everybody expects these long-term gains to happen with Trump with Trump being the president-elect. But, you know, is that short-term correction coming? And it's how deep that short-term correction is, because as we know as traders, you know, if it's too deep, it takes out a lot of people.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think we're probably going to get onto this with this tweet of the week, actually. Yeah. But with volatility increasing over the past couple of months, now it's subsided again. It might feel like, you know, the natural base is a little bit higher than previously, which could lead to these events where the market comes off quite heavily. But tweet of the week, volatility is your friend. I know Tyler Durden very well, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic tweet. I think a lot of people are scared of volatility.
100%.
When in fact volatility is what drives markets, and at the end of the day, P&L.
Let's look at this from a trader perspective. If you're a trader, you want volatility. Volatility drives trading opportunities. Without volatility, you do not have trading opportunities. It's literally as simple as that. You know, and actually it was interesting during the election because we saw the VIX drop off. Now the VIX dropped off because the volatility wasn't necessarily going to be as they expected it to be, because of course Donald Trump won easily. You know, what they were expecting was a really tight race. Markets were going to have weeks of wrangling around legal battles over different states. Didn't happen. So the VIX dropped that little bit. The fact that people think volatility just isn't there to help anyone, and you see volatility as a scary thing, is probably why it becomes quite hard for a lot of people to make money here.
Lack of volatility in FX is a really bad thing.
Yeah.
It makes the market so boring.
Yeah.
And you have to take a mean reversion strategy rather than trending, which in the S&P 500's case, if volatility is being sold, it basically just means the market's going like that all the way, and you can just buy and hold. It's not great for traders though, because you kind of want that intraday movement, right? But on something like FX, volatility being so low is awful. S&P 500 are for buy and hold investors, which is why so many hedge fund managers are really, really annoyed these days, because everyone's just gone passive.
Yeah.
That's really where, you know, you want lack of volatility. You want to sell volatility consistently.
Yeah, and there was that. We go back to, I think we said it a few weeks ago, actually, or a month ago or so, about this trading strategy of just checking out 52-week highs. That's because lots of these companies in the S&P 500, without that volatility, are just continuously going up. Little drops, where people buy in, get nice buying opportunities. You know, it's simple strategies. But if you're day trading, you're intraday trading, and you're looking for swings, you need the volatility. Exactly. FX, whatever it may be. So let's move on to winners and losers. Now, I'm basically going to take one here because
this was painful for you.
Gold. So I feel like I need to defend myself a little bit here. Defend myself to my bank balance. But we were going into the election, markets were flying. You're in the situation where you've got conflict around the world. You know, you've got this, and I was banging on last week about this whole, you know, gold is the safe haven, and it was unpopular before, and now it's popular again for gold to be a safe haven. Well, cheers. Thanks very much. Didn't necessarily happen, and gold tanked basically. So it was a bad trade. Didn't work out for me. I feel like I need to come to David Bell and get a trading lesson after that one.
Well, I think ironically, the reason why I was long Google, and we'll go to that next, is because it's the antithesis of the gold trade. Yeah. Basically, what I'd spotted before the election was that people were over hedging in the VIX. They were buying VIX calls way too much. Like, it spiked so much from September. And really, all I was looking for was for that event risk to be removed. At the end of the day, no matter which president got in, markets weren't really going to change. We know everything's largely dependent on what the Fed does, and it's Fed, policy that really affects things. Yeah. Once that event risk had cleared, I just saw, all right, well, the default here is that the market wants to sell volatility, which means the stock market goes up. And so that was really why I picked Google as a trade over that period, because I just saw it as, once we've cleared out all of that over hedging, they're going to have to chase the market higher.
Basically, yours went up, mine went down, and you win. Congratulations, really pleased with you. But yeah, it was a good performance from Google. The earnings came out. We knew that before, you know. So it was.
It got smashed back down though on those earnings afterwards, day or so after. So I think again that was an example of before. You know, that VIX call buying affecting Google, but then afterwards all that relief went, and it just was able to go back up.
Going back to this gold for a second, so what's the new safe haven?
It depends on to what extent are we talking about a safe haven here. Are we talking about a safe haven in the context of, okay, there's now a world war, like, or are we talking about a safe haven as, oh, the market's just risk off a little bit? Yeah. Like, what are we talking about here? Because the way that I'm actually seeing it is that a safe haven these days seems to be buying volatility. You see a hell of a lot of VIX buying when people are perceiving things to go bad. And so there's a different definition of safe haven. You know, if there's a tsunami, then that's going to be dollar positive. Yeah. But if the market's expected to come off, people are probably just going to buy the VIX. Yeah. So where is the line on safe haven? I think gold is good in an inflationary environment. Yeah. And we've seen with interest rates coming down, I think we're seeing that disinflationary risk, if you like, be priced in more. And that's.
But then there's a US situation here where with Trump, the president-elect now, tariffs are hugely inflationary. So if Donald Trump brings in these tariffs like we expect to go onto Europe, go onto China, we know from the last time, yes, this helps American business, but the cost increase is passed on to the direct consumer in the US. You know, it's not passed on anywhere else. It's passed on to the direct consumer, so we get prices going higher. So is that you're probably still, once tariffs come in, and of course we're talking down the line here, but we're still going to be in an inflationary period because tariffs are a key part to Trump's fiscal policy.
I guess it depends over which period might they be inflationary. In the short term, yeah, because people aren't able to plan for them necessarily. But over the long term, people are going to say, I've not got enough money to afford this, so I need to cut back.
Yeah.
So it might end up being that over the mid to longer term, it's actually disinflationary or deflationary.
Yeah.
So I think it depends. And then for the context of markets are probably pricing in at the moment 3 to 9 months ahead. So they're probably looking more at that midterm as to what corporate profits might do. I think that's what the key thing to focus on here would be. What is the underlying effect on the corporate profits? And I think it depends on how inelastic the consumer is to that change in price.
So we've got chart of the week here. Chart of the week, the main one here is we're talking about the cost of energy. There's one thing that I want to focus in here is that how, if you can't see this, it's a chart that's from the FT. And actually this story was about the cost of energy in Taiwan, which is why Taiwan's highlighted. But what we've all taken out of this is how much it costs for electricity in the UK.
Yeah,
absolutely mental numbers about how much. This is in 2023, but how much these cost. But I want to bundle this all together. I want to go energy, and let's talk about Elon Musk. Let's talk about Elon and is he the most powerful person on the planet? Because what we've seen over the last week or so. We've seen, obviously, Elon Musk has been a pivotal focus of the Trump campaign and Trump becoming president. The focus of that new regime is going to be on drilling. So from a US perspective, there's going to be a focus on, we already know they're self-sufficient on oil anyway, pretty much, so don't need to export in. But the cost of energy is going to be a key battleground in the US. Now, how does that, with Elon Musk being in there, the great term I heard the other day was that the US economy is now basically AI and oil. That's the focus. I mean, pretty polar opposites, but it puts Elon Musk in there as a hugely influential figure.
Yeah, I guess Musk has also launched the Department of Government Efficiency, which, if you take the first letter of each word, there is DOGE.
I mean, that's mental as well, right?
Well, I think he's just beaten life and now he's just having fun.
Like he's basically mocking the world, right?
Well, yeah, he's got the net worth of, a lot of small countries compiled together.
Yeah.
And I think Tesla is a key company. I used to absolutely rage on Elon. I thought he was an idiot. But then I kind of grew up and realized, no, he's actually doing a lot of very good things.
He actually is a genius.
He is. Well, do you know what? I think he's a genius, but in different contexts.
Yeah.
He can put systems together really, really well. I think that's the best thing that people don't give him any credit for is his ability to be able to put together systems and put the right people together to build something.
Yeah.
If you take PayPal, built PayPal, sold it. Then you got Solar City, built that, sold it. Then SpaceX, sold it. Tesla's. Do you see what I mean? So, it's a real, he might be taking the mick with this DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, but he's proven it in business that he's able to do it.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of AI, energy and things, in terms of energy and tech, he is the leading person. He's going to be the person that really ushers in this new SMR, small modular reactor phase, in terms of these tech giants who need energy, who want to lower their energy costs, are going to be building these bespoke for themselves. I think it's absolutely key, and he's going to be at the forefront of it, as he's been at the forefront of getting people into space, which is insane for a private company to do.
This individual, this private company...
He's sending rockets every day into space.
He overtook NASA as the leading voice in space travel.
Tell me, how do people who have done nothing with their lives, how are they able to then go and critique him so much on Twitter?
Yeah,
I don't understand. On his own website, on his own thing that he's bought. And he's like, yeah, go on then, I don't care.
Yeah. I took on NASA, and I'm now bigger than NASA.
You've got someone who is building things that everyone's using. People are still calling him a fraud. And these university professors who are teaching sociology and all of this nonsense, who are contributing to societal demise, right?
Yeah.
They're able to just go and rail on him. It doesn't make sense. And from a trader's perspective, it's fantastic because it creates this absolute contrarianism amongst the retail community.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the retail community still deride Tesla. Lots of them love Tesla, which is fantastic. But this polarization creates the best trading opportunities.
So almost as if we planned this, the pick of the week this week is Tesla. Now, we heard during the week that it's just hit $1 trillion market cap. There's a couple of points I want to pick up in terms of the Tesla price. I mean, the chart's mad, you know, as we know, but it's obviously had this huge, anything Elon Musk has had a huge shot in the arm in the last couple of weeks or so. The Trump regime rails on climate change. You know, Donald Trump, we know, is a climate change denier pretty much, you know, as a lot of people are. But Tesla, from a Trump perspective, from an Elon Musk perspective, is obviously in a fantastic place. But from an EV perspective, where does it sit? What's the future for EVs in the US? I know that business isn't just in the US, but you know, if the biggest country in the world is now going to take this view on climate change that they're not necessarily going to support the goals going forward, surely it has a negative effect on EVs.
Well, I think primarily for the US, their focus is on growth, right? And if Tesla is a growth industry or electric vehicles are a growth industry, that's what they care about. I don't think Donald Trump's so concerned with impeding any ideological sort of goal like that with regards to business. I think he might see it more as a technology revolution. And I think, you know, he's a lot smarter. He might say these things to placate certain people, but at the end of the day, the right loves Elon as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the left love Elon as well, to be fair with you. It's just crazy people on Twitter that actually deride
crazy people on Twitter that
which he owns. Yeah. And so
the world's mouthpiece, basically. He owns it.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. In terms of how Tesla is going, I think the Model Y is the most bought car in the world or something like that. So I think they're doing fine, and I don't really see anything to disturb that. And if anything, the way that I see the Tesla chart is pretty much up and to the right. You know, especially with interest rates coming back down. It's come out of a really nice breakout the last couple of weeks, really strong. I was buying them back in July, still holding. So I'm very, very happy with this kind of spring that's happened. So I bought down at $273, now trading $350-ish, I think it is, something like that. So you know, I just still see it going up and to the right.
We talk about this Trump trade, the Trump trade. Is it the Trump trade or is it the Musk trade, basically? You know, what's more lucrative? The Musk trade is more lucrative from that perspective, or pretty much they're one and the same? Because Elon Musk, as we said, you've got all of these companies that he is either directly or indirectly involved in that have just skyrocketed in the last couple of weeks or so. You've got the fact that he is the owner of Twitter, X. You know, that is, whether people love it or hate it, it is the mouthpiece of the world. You know, it is. It's where your news comes from, pretty much. And people can agree or disagree, you know, but that is the case.
Yeah.
He controls, and free speech is key for him, but he controls all of these elements. He pretty much controls the stock markets. He has the ear of the president-elect. You can't look past Elon as probably, within the minimum of the next 5 years, the most important person on the planet.
I just see one big risk there, and it's that there's two very big personalities, and they're willing to stand by their principles. And I think at some point there might be a principle that clashes. We've seen it a couple of times with Trump, where he's gotten rid of people and just doesn't speak to them again. I think with his president, Pence, he was VP, and then they're hated now. You know, they hate each other. It's happened a couple of other times as well with is it Scaramucci? Yeah. And
all those people that were touting out that Kamala Harris was going to win the election.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of weeks.
Who you know, used to be very, very close to him. So that's just one big risk that I see, is that something happens. You can't obviously see that risk though, but you've just got to be prepared for it. If you start hearing grumblings, then I would probably cut the position, purely because it would mean that he might be ousted and bad news is there. Yeah. Of course, buy it again afterwards after you settle down. But, you know, that's just one big risk that I see with that relationship specifically.
Yeah, yeah. And what's interesting is for 2028, who gets the Republican nomination, J.D. Vance or Elon Musk? Elon Musk, future president?
Do you know who I see as future president is Zuckerberg? I think that's what he's planning for.
Zuckerberg versus Trump, versus Elon Musk.
Not yet in 2028, but I wouldn't know who it would be.
What is the world coming to? This is literally the world we live in.
I don't see a bad thing with this. Do you know why? It's because there's competency that's shown in risk taking. You know,
and there's enormous amounts of incompetency in politicians.
Exactly. So you're putting two different things together. One where you've got technocrats who have actually done very, very successful. But being a business person at that scale isn't just about an idea and making money. It's about being able to compete, being able to put together the right people to get to an end goal. That's what I think business shows. Whereas politicians, what are their KPIs at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And they're not judged on anything. So I don't see it as a bad thing moving from people who have vast private sector experience at building and running companies getting into politics, because they understand things way more than politicians do.
Yeah. Well, I think what's become clear over the last couple of weeks is that in the US, nobody cares who Taylor Swift or Beyonce are voting for.
I think that's a good thing as well.
Exactly. David, thanks. And guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. Please hit the bell. Please hit the like and get in those comments and give me as much abuse as you like about my failed gold trade.